right, with that, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the place where the underdog is always expected to win. That place is kctowns.com, and I'm your host, KC Towns. It's
Everyone, and
time
welcome
to
to the
launch
place where the underdog is always
2023 and our night with Giants. And I want to launch tonight by thanking everyone who played a part in the previous shows. It's the correct way for me to launch this year off because we had some incredible shows in 2020, 21, and 22. And I just want to thank all of you tonight who are here. You're the reason the leaders and guest speakers continue to give every month. And I'm excited. I'm very excited to launch tonight's show. So let's get right to it. I don't want to delay. With that, let me introduce my first guest. Let me go ahead and share my screen, okay, with my incredible guest speakers. And my first guest is Miss Jessica Parker. She's the CEO of the Parker Group, Final Expense Agency. And without any further ado, we're going to bring in Miss Parker now. Miss Parker, I turn it over to you.
Yes, hi, good evening. Thank you so much for having me on your platform tonight. I'm extremely excited to be on here with my fellow speakers for tonight. My name is Jessica Parker. I am the CEO of the Parker Group, affiliated with the Universal Benefits, which is the largest final expense sales organization on the East Coast. And it's an amazing partnership that I've had for the last 12 years. And our goal is really to help impact insurance agents. We're looking to assist 1,000 agents to become completely financially independent in the next 24 to 36 months. And we are excited that we have a platform and opportunity with the company that we're with to educate, to help train, mentor, develop entrepreneurs, people that really just want an opportunity for themselves to do this insurance business. I've been in insurance for 18 years, have a little bit of experience in network marketing. I had some startup businesses. And I love being my own boss and helping people and just really impacting in the community with the services that we provide. So, Casey, I'm excited to be on tonight. And let's get this thing started.
I'm excited to have you. I really am. And you said how many? You said you were looking to bring on 1,000 agents?
We want to help 1,000 agents to become financially independent. Yes.
Okay, well, I'll tell you right now, I'm looking forward to hearing from you shortly when we step back into this realm of questions and answers and sharing. But with that, what I want to do is bring in another trailblazer, another leader, Mr. Vincent King. Now, Mr. King is the president and CEO of KIG, which stands for King Insurance Group. So what I want to do without any further delay, if you can tell I'm on it this year, I get right to the point because last year we used to run out of time and I don't want to run out of time. So I want to turn this over to Mr. Vincent King from the KIG, King Insurance Group. Mr. King, turn it over to you.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mr. Towns, and to my fellow cohorts online this evening. I'm excited to be kicking off your first show, Night with Giants, of the 2023 season. Man, this is actually an honor because when I was young in my 20s, I say that because I'm, not in my 20s anymore, but over the last maybe 18 to 20 years back, right, I had the opportunity and privilege to get my business and started within the networking field. And that's where I had the opportunity to meet you many years ago. And just always been a trailblazer in my eyes, have been a great mentor. You have always been the same. And just funny that we're here now because we just kind of reconnected just a few months back at another speaking engagement that one of my good friends, mentors, brothers, Coach Sean Simmons had in Alabama. So like you said, I'm happy to be here. And I am the CEO and president of King Insurance Group. That is an affiliate as well, like Ms. Parker, of Universal Benefits. We operate and we run a full-scale marketing agency targeting individuals in the range of 45 to 80 years of age, helping them with final expense planning and funding programs. But most importantly, we train and coach individuals that maybe not get opportunities anywhere else to go into entrepreneurship or get business startup. And we show them how they can take just a willing attitude, determined spirit, and just a little sweat equity and turn that into hundreds of thousands of dollars residually on a monthly and yearly basis. And so I'm excited. We are going to do some phenomenal things this year, like Ms. Parker. We have some major goals this year. We're looking to add another $6 million of new sales this year alone to our bottom line as far as growing our book of business. And we're excited, and I know that we are going to exceed the expectations as far as everything we're going to do this year. So happy to be here, Mr. Towns.
I'm excited about having you here. I really am. And, I'm so excited, I can't even get back control of the screen.
There you
But,
go, man.
there it is. Okay. But you know what they say, when you meet up with someone later on in life, you probably made a preordained date when you first met them to see them again. So it's absolutely my pleasure. And I appreciate you being extremely humble, because the folks that we're introducing you to tonight have made benchmark income, and they've helped others do the same. They lead a great life helping people. So appreciate the humility. And I'm just excited about having you on. And what I want to do at this point is move out of the way and introduce an old friend who's our third guest speaker. And it's a real treat to have him back with us. He's joining us. He's coming back. He was on about a year and a half ago on Night with Giants, and he rocked the show. He really did, because he's making and has made an impact in all three of our lives. Okay, Ms. Parker, Mr. King, and myself. And again, let me introduce and present to everyone our next guest speaker, Mr. Jermaine Miller. Mr. Miller, let me see if I can get you on. There we go. Ms. Miller, I'll turn it over to you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jermaine Miller. I'm the CEO of JM Publishing. It's such an honor to be here amongst some very, very extraordinary individuals. I've been connected to Ms. Parker and Mr. King over the last few weeks as we are working on a phenomenal project that's going to change the lives of millions. KC Towns has been a phenomenal mentor, big brother, friend for over 20 years in my life. He's been influential. And one of the most powerful things he shared with me when I was younger is the value in building lasting relationships. And that's something that we've been able to cultivate over these years. Even sometimes where we haven't spoke for years, we've always been able to reconnect in some way, shape, or another, and continue our life mission to impact and empower people's lives by making a difference. So it's definitely an honor to be here this evening. But again, I said my name is Jermaine Miller. I am the CEO of JM Publishing. I'm also a 4-time best-selling author, but it didn't start there. In fact, I have been in the real estate sector for over 25 years. I started there. And what happened was, in that real estate sector, I realized that I was helping people with their dream of home ownership, but I was also building the dreams of the people who I would bring the checks to every single day. And so I'm out here telling people to live their dreams, but every day I wasn't living mine. So I was motivated to start my own real estate business. And once I did that and the company exploded in a few short years, what I realized is that I didn't just love helping people with business. I loved helping people with their lives. And so I started on this really, really incredible motivational personal development journey. And that turned into Jermaine Miller Consulting, which it was there. My mentor, Mr. Les Brown, shared with me one powerful, he asked me one powerful question, and that was, where is your book? And one of the most powerful things he said after that is, once you write your book, I'll write the forward to it. So I was motivated by that experience. And in 2019, I wrote and published my first book, Wake Up and Win. But in that experience, I didn't experience what I felt was the great personal relationship touch that authors should experience when they write their book. And so we were supposed to go on a 13-city tour. COVID hit. And the next thing you know, I couldn't go on that tour. So I backtracked, wrote my second book, and I started my own publishing company from there. And from there, I realized that I not just loved writing books, but I loved helping people tell their story as well. And that's how we formed JM Publishing for everyone.
We can't hear you.
Can everybody hear me now?
Yes.
Well, everybody now knows I wear glasses. But Mr. Miller, what I was saying was, I appreciate that, Ms. Parker. That if you missed it, Mr. Miller mentioned that his guide, his mentor, his spiritual father, Les Brown, gave him advice early in the game. This is one of those nights where you're going to get advice. Sometimes it's casual. Sometimes our speakers will just speak to you. They'll just let it flow, and that advice will be the type of advice that changes lives. It changed his life. So don't miss this moment. This moment's about sharing. It's about giving back. It really is. And he was wise enough to take the advice of someone that had traveled a path that he was trying to get a grasp on. So appreciate that, Mr. Miller. Sorry, everybody, about the mute. I'm not sure how I got muted, but that's neither here nor there. With that, let's get the ball rolling with some questions. Now, I'm going to start with Ms. Parker. I'm going to ask the first couple of questions. We've already got questions in the queue. If you have questions of our phenomenal speakers tonight, now that you know their background, it is time for you to type them in the chat box. So let me get started. I'm going to kind of mix this thing up. I got some questions on my screen. I wrote down that I really wanted to ask and that other people asked me to ask. So here's the first question for Ms. Jessica Parker. You're a top 1% successful woman in an industry that is evolving quickly. What advice would you share with other people, but women in particular, about the decisions they make to launch their business careers?
Great question. I love that question, Mr. Towns. So my advice to women that want to start their or launch their own business, and I will just tell you guys that for me, the first thing is to be fearless, right? Be fearless. Go in with a lot of determination and with your goals in mind. And fear cannot be part of the equation. You have to want it more than what you're scared of it. One of the things that helped me in the beginning of my entrepreneurial career was seeking out mentors, seeking out coaches, seeking out people that were already where I wanted to be. And, I heard one of my coaches actually say, that the shortcut to success is a good coach and a good mentor that you can collapse decades into days when you have someone that can guide you along the way. But definitely that fearlessness factor, having great mentors, having great coaches, and then having that vision, where do you want to be? Seeing yourself already at the end, and then kind of reverse engineering that process, having that big vision, writing down your goals every day, having a great daily routine. I learned that is very, very important to stay focused and to stay on task. And also understanding the importance of personally developing, being willing to work on yourself. And with that, being willing really to let go of your old self. A lot of times we get put in a box by maybe family and friends. I remember being told when I was a young adult that, oh, she's so shy, she's so quiet, and I owned it when that really wasn't my personality. So sometimes people put you in a box and you accept it, and you act like it's a life sentence when it's really not. So personal development, your self-talk, being aware that your thoughts have so much to do with your success. How you speak to yourself all day, has so much to do with your positive mental attitude and being able to keep going. So those are some of the few things that I want to say early on helped me. And I would advise anyone that goes into business to seek your mentors out, understand where you want to be, put yourself in the rooms of, where you are uncomfortable, right?
Right.
I would go to workshops and seminars. I was willing to pay the price to put myself in the environment so I can network with people that already were where I wanted to be. I would pull their coattail and ask them for advice and see if I could connect with them, so I could learn, because wherever you are in your business, I always felt like there's something that I don't know. If I can find out what that thing is, I can get to that next level. So it's very important to seek out people that already had success, and then committing to that routine daily, to saying, hey, I need to do personal development as well as I got to drink, water every day. I have to have my personal development so I can reprogram really my mindset and get out of some of those default settings in my head, all those things that we grow up to believe about money, about education, about, how to really create wealth. It requires for us to change and leave some of those old mindsets behind. And that happens over time, kind of like building that muscle in the gym, right? You have to work on that mindset. So Mr. Towns, those were some of the things that helped me in the beginning. And those are some things that I would tell anyone that's new to entrepreneurship, that's looking to get into business. Those are the things that, really would kind of put you on the right track mentally, because it's 80% mental, especially in the business that we're in. When you're in sales and you're in marketing and networking to people, or you're offering services and products and you have to sell, you have to have that mindset of moving on from either failure to failure, or all of those things that the challenges that come in your way. So that's what I would suggest for you to do. Okay, find some great mentors, make your vision clear, work on yourself, and get yourself in the rooms and where you would want to be, around the people that already have or are where you want to be.
So I'm coming to our other guests, but I just got to ask you give me one more minute on this, because I want to ask you a follow-up to the original question. So you are the one lady on the panel tonight. So you represent a strong group when it comes to business, mentorship, success. So was there something, and I don't want to belabor the issue, I want to get right to it, because I'm saying to myself, you overcame homelessness, so much that you shared with the other panel members, myself, that we know about you, single parent, homelessness, failed businesses, and you still persevered. Was there something you were looking for in a mentor? I'm being specific now. Was there something you would just, boom, I'm cued in on this?
It's funny that you asked me that question, because I just recently had a conversation about this. And yes, I've had a lot of challenges in my early years. I came to the United States when I was in my early my late teens, going into my 20s. And for me, it was just, there was no option for failure. So I was very determined to prove everybody wrong, and that desire was stronger than any fear. And that made me really seek out people that already had success, right? So I would look for opportunities. I would look for opportunities to get into entrepreneurship, really. So, while I was putting myself through school, I would get into network marketing, right? And actually, that's where we met many years ago, many years ago, over 25 years ago. And that's where I've, met some of my first mentors. And I was just excited that this was the land of opportunity, right? And there were people that were having great success, making lots of money. They were financially independent. And that was really my goal, is not to struggle, not to pack up my bag and go back home and say, I failed, I didn't make it. And so, that was kind of the thing.
So it was that determination thing that really seeking that, not seeking to fail, but seeking to succeed against the odds. I'm clued in. We got a lot of people cluing in with questions. I guess I'm only going to get one question for myself from each of you, but I appreciate that, Ms. Parker. Stay tuned because we're coming back to you with all these questions for you. But right now, Mr. King, you have a history of success. And, you know, I mentioned the networking industry. How did that benefit you in your business now? Because you're in a static business now and you are doing incredibly well. So how did your networking background, you know, assist you in finding success with what you do now?
Wow, man, what an incredible question, because it's taken me all the way back, like I said, over 20 plus years ago when I was just early 20s, 21 years old, really fresh out of college. You know, I got a job at a bank and got paid once a month. And I remember that getting paid once a month as a personal banker at a bank, I was like bringing home about $1,800. So, you know, thank God I had roommates back then, because, you know, I couldn't imagine what it would be like trying to support a family and live off of eight. Matter of fact, I wouldn't be able to do it. But you know, when I got introduced to the networking industry when I was 21 years of age, and it is paramount to, you know, my success now, because it helped me to build so many things that I'm able to now teach. The first thing that it helped me to establish was the art of survival, like how to really just get in and just learn it and just get it out the mud, right? It helped me to understand that nothing is given, everything is earned, right? It allowed me to develop my people skills. It introduced me to how to develop myself personally. It helped me to take it back to the philosophy that Jim Rohn taught, because he's one of my mentors as well. That you know, being able to go to school teaches you how to make a living, right? But self-education is what teaches you how to make a fortune. And so it was the books, it was the relationships, it was the experiences that I had, it was the failures, it was the lack of not having, it was people telling me that I should go back and get a job, or why am I doing this? It helped me to overcome so many things that now I don't even blink, because you know, we have a very successful agency, and I've been blessed not to punch a clock for anybody for over 15 years. And you know, and by that being the case, you know, by doing that, it has allowed me to be able to take some of those same skills that I learned in the network marketing industry and transfer them, you know. And so for me, it was a transfer of knowledge. It was a transfer of skill set. It was a transfer of mindset. And so I believe that just my background and my affiliations, those are things that's like riding a bike. Once you get it, they're fundamental principles that you need to be able to elevate in any level of life that you're going to. And I think most importantly, after everything, it helped me to learn who I was personally, professionally, financially, and most importantly, spiritually. Like, you know, that I know that I can't do anything without God leading me. And even when I tried to do it my own way, it helped me to realize that my way wasn't working. So it was whenever I got myself in alignment with my spirituality and knowing what my purpose was, not only for my business, but what God wanted me to do for Him, that it kind of opened up some of those other doors to where it made teaching easy. You know, it's not the fact that what we do is easy; it's the fact of the matter I understand that we make it hard. So I have to tell people that, yeah, it's not. We're not saying that it's easy. We're saying that it's worth it. And I got a saying in my team that if somebody comes to me with something and they don't see me flinch, or they don't see me worry about it, then there's no need for them to worry, because it's probably something I've already been through, and you just got to pay the dues to go through it as well. But the thing that they have that I didn't have, they didn't have me. They didn't have some of the people that now I consider to be some of my great mentors and coaches and friends and leaders that I've grown to know over the last 20 plus years. So networking has made a huge impact into what I'm doing right now, my current line of industry and line of work that I'm doing.
You know, I'm glad to hear that, Vincent, because so often people will say to me, you know, when I'm, you know, doing what I do, I'm either in front of the room or I meet people, you know, because we're always reaching out and touching new people. And so often people will say stuff to me like, that's not real. You know, that's not really business. Have you found, because you have, like you said, an agency, people know right now you have a real static business, but you've said, excuse me, that you lean back on the experiences and the knowledge and the PD, the personal development education you got in networking. So when somebody says to you, that's not real, how do you feel about that? What do you say?
I tell them documentation beats conversation every day, right? I believe in a proof of concept, right? And somebody can say it's not real if only one person or they only know one person that has done it. Then it's not. It doesn't even mean that it's not real. It just means that it's not likely that it's a system where a lot of people can come in and do it. But whenever somebody says it's not real, and then you can show them documentation of not one but hundreds of people, thousands of people, millions of people that have done it, then what they're really telling you is that they don't believe that what they see for themselves is real, right? And
Right.
so it starts playing on their own belief system, because most people will begin to talk themselves out of a thing, just so they can basically try to and to make themselves feel good or validated. They try to put down the thing that you're doing, because they don't want to just come out and say that they can't see themselves doing it, or they don't believe that they can do it themselves. And so instead of just fessing up to that point, they rather just basically minimize what you're doing. They want to just kind of talk
Right.
about it, and you can show them proof of concept. And so once I show proof of concept, once I show not only myself but other people, I don't even put myself out there as much as I do my leaders, my people, because they may say, "Oh, you're expected to do it." But when I can show them somebody who's only been with me 30 days that did it, when I show them somebody who's been with me a 1 year that's been able to do it, then it kind of changes the tone as far as of it not being real.
It's so rewarding to hear that your networking experience is the foundation for what you're doing now in terms of success. I appreciate you being candid about that. We didn't script this. You could have said anything. Appreciate you, Mr. King. We're going to come back. Can't wait to
Thank you,
hear from
sir.
you again. We got a bunch of questions here.
Yes,
And
sir.
Mr. Miller, you are a special guest because you've actually touched, and we'll share this with everybody towards the end of the show, the broadcast tonight, and how you've touched all three of us. But you have an incredibly successful public speaking career and business. And so many of our listeners want to launch a public speaking career. So many people want to get in front of the room and speak. Can you share some tips and things that they need to do to be successful, and share who you've been on stage with, maybe a couple of people you've been on stage with? You are muted, sir.
All right, I'm playing with my KC Towns button tonight. Listen, first and foremost, you got to decide who your target audience is before you start talking about you're an expert in the field. A lot of people, what they start to do is just go out there and attempt to be general practitioners. Well, my mentor shared with me a few years ago when he sat down, he said, Jermaine, don't look to the left, don't look to the right, but focus on your purpose and your dream, and the people who need to hear your voice will follow you because you said the right things. So for those people who want to get into the speaking industry, I really highly suggest you really sit down and decide what it is that you had to overcome in life. You know, one of the things that most authors ask me when we talk about things like how to publish a book or what they should be talking about in a book, I always respond with, most people really don't care about your story, but they do care about what you overcame and how you overcame it. That's how you impact the lives of others. You see, adversity only reveals who we are to ourselves. And what that basically means is all of the adversity, all of the obstacles, all of the challenges are sitting here in your face, requiring you to do one thing. And that's for you to grow and be the person you said you wanted to be when you decided to go after your dream and goals. It's like this. We all plant seeds in the ground, but many of us don't know when the harvest will appear. And so what we usually do is we go to the ground after the harvest doesn't appear the first few weeks, the first few months, and we say, you know what? This dream isn't real. And we pick the seed up out of the ground and we go try to plant it somewhere else. And when our dream doesn't appear in the first few weeks, we say, you know what? This dream isn't real. So what we start to do in that is what I define as interrupting the process. You see, we're online with some very, very phenomenal people who are all successful in every area of their life because one thing they did consistently, they decided what it is that they wanted to do, They planted the seed, they watered the crop, and they made sure the weeds didn't overtake their garden. And that's what I want to encourage everyone to do on this call tonight. That's identify. KC asked, what is it, or what should someone do to define themselves or separate themselves in the public speaking world? You got to decide what it is that you want to do. And you also have to understand that your goals will never come down and get you. You have to rise higher every day to go up and get your dream and your goal.
Excuse me. That's excellent. Excellent advice. I have you still full screen because can you share how long did it take you to put together your philosophy? Because that philosophy is extremely, extremely detailed and heavy, but you gave it to us in a very simplistic way. How long did it take you to figure that out? And was there any clues to that success?
I read a book a few years ago. I believe the first time I read this book is around the same time you and I met, which was probably around 1998. Before they said the year 2000, there was going to be some flying cars. But I read this powerful book. It was life-changing. It was called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I still read that book to this day. One of my mentors, rest in peace, Bob Proctor, lived by that book. And one of the things that I learned, and it's a line that I have in my house, is that whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. That word there, conceive, means seed, right? So whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And whenever you decide whatever it is that you want to accomplish in your life, that there is the seed. And all you have to do from that point is see how you want your life to be and act as though the life is, and it'll eventually be there. So to respond back to KC's question, how long did it take to develop the process? It's just like the seed. I don't know. In fact, I would read, as Jessica talked about, personal development, Audible, YouTube videos. I would watch some of the old greats, Jim Rohn, Vincent brought up, Les, a lot of Norman Vincent Peale's, all of these powerful speakers. And some of the things that I would do is listen to them with the volume off, because I wanted to see their actions. I wanted to see how they looked at the crowd. I wanted to see how they moved the audience without hearing them audibly. And that was one of the things that changed my whole dynamic of how to be a powerful, impactful speaker. So again, to answer that question, KC, I don't know. I have thousands and thousands upon hours of reading, studying, and developing this philosophy. However, I will say this: nothing is true until it works for you. What do I mean by that? Well, these tools and principles that you'll hear tonight, yes, they are successful because we worked it. But you, as someone who wants the same success that KC's experiencing, Vincent's experiencing, Jessica is experiencing as well, you have to learn how to implement the same exact principles until it works for you as well.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Great. Folks, listen, it's that time. Okay, I asked 3 questions for each of our guests, one question apiece. And obviously you see how deep their answers are. These are mentors. So let me put on my glasses because you guys have questions in the question log. This is your chance. This is a chance for the system, which is this show, to work for you. Ask your questions by typing in the chat box, and I'm ready to go. So let me go to our first question. There are so many people in here. Wow. Okay. I don't know what there was. Okay, so Rashia is complimenting Mr. King. Great. Coach King, I'm here, KC. Okay, good. Hey, guys, look, I appreciate y'all being on. I do. Thank you so much for the kind words to our guest. I'm scanning down to get to the first static question. Okay, priceless information from these dynamic leaders, without a doubt. Okay, so let me explode. Let me move my screen to a big. Okay, here we go. I have a question for Mr. King. what inspires you most as a leader in your industry? Let me go ahead and let's hear from Mr. King.
Wow. Inspiration comes in many facets for me, but I think the biggest thing, because we are in the people business, what inspires me is to see people getting it. It inspires me whenever I see that you can take someone who had a dream and watch them turn it into reality because they put in the work. They adopted the belief system. They didn't come with a silver spoon. I didn't come with a silver spoon in my mouth. I mean, I had to really learn a skill set, and I invested time in the skill set, and I was willing to invest in myself in the skill set. So what inspires me is that, as a coach and as a mentor, is that when you're talking to people and you're bringing people up from the trenches and you're telling them that, hey, if you really give this 3 to 5 years, I promise you it's not going to be easy, but your life will never be the same. And I can literally watch, people that have done that. I mean, I can watch individuals that literally, who used to be in the system, receiving assistance and making 25, 30,000 dollars a year, and now they're 100,000 plus, not just 100,000, but 100,000 plus income earners. They're able to start giving back and taking care of their family, and so what inspires me is when I'm able to see people's language change because I'm watching their philosophy change.
Right.
They started getting, they understand that this business, that one of the things that Coach Sean Simmons, which is a great partner, friend, brother of mine, and I, he says this to me, and when he said this years ago, it always stuck to me. And he says that if we can help change the way you think, we can help change the way you make money. And so I just believe that what inspires me is to being able to watch people and see them change the way that they think, so it can help them to attain the reality and the dreams that they see in their life. So that's what I say about that, Mr. Towns.
You know what? Stay right there, Mr. King, because the next question is actually for you. I am extremely pleased by the comments, because there's a lot of people tuning in, not with questions per se, but with comments as you were talking and all of you were speaking before. Our guests tonight, who are the folks who are asking the questions, are actually co-signing and saying, great, this is good, right? I can connect with that. So I'm loving it because we're right where we need to be. Mr. King, next question is yours too. Question for Mr. King. How long was he in the trenches before he really felt like he turned the corner?
I think I'm still in the trenches, right? But there is a point where you do feel like that you are turning the corner, and so I'm a hands-on leader. I don't lead behind a desk. I lead from the front, and I never ask my team to do anything that I haven't done or not willing to do myself. I'm the first responder to any situation. I don't back down from problems, and so but when I really saw it turning and changing is whenever when I stopped hearing the people in my family and my circles, when they stopped telling me that I needed to go get a job, because they were starting to see that I was able to do things for them that they were not able to do for themselves. They saw me stick with something long enough to where they said it must be catching on. And so it's like you go through the phases of where you're opposed about what you're doing, then you get you get a little bit more opposition, and then you get to that stage where people just totally just reject you. Well, I started at that place where of the rejection about what I did, because they said you need to get a job. Then I stayed with it a little bit longer, and I wasn't asking people for gas money as much anymore, or to help me with my car note. And so, they said, well, maybe sticking with it is working, to the degree where they started coming to me saying, hey, can I hold something? And when they did, it wasn't a matter if they paid it back or not. A lot of times it just meant that if they didn't pay it back, that I was just, I had the choice if I was going to lend it again. But nevertheless, I just think that the trenches and noticing that is basically what you do with your daily disciplines and principles, and you really stick into your philosophies. And I think once you do that and you see it, other people can follow what you're doing, that's when you notice that you're making a turn for the better.
It's interesting. I appreciate your candidness, but it's so interesting because when people often ask you leaders about turning the corner, I'm always interested in what their question really is. Are you talking about success for you, the leader, or success in helping others? Because turning the corner is a lot of things. It's really a lot of things. Giving back means a lot. So, and I know you, Mr. King, you've turned the corner for a lot of people and yourself. So I just want people to remember that when you start to type your question, if it's specific to the leader and their success, which is so important, I want you to be specific. But if it's specific to the leader and their success and affecting other people, impacting others' success, be specific about that too, because this is about growing. It's about giving back. Appreciate you, Mr. King. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. My pleasure, sir.
This question is for all the folks. It says, Casey, please ask your guest, and this gentleman is on every single Night with Giants. And my friend from the great cold country of Chicago, Mr. Positive 24/7. Good to have you on, sir. Please ask your guests how they've navigated the fine line in their careers of being persistent and balancing patience. Awesome question. I'm going to work backwards. I'm going to tell you what happened. We actually lost Miss Parker for a minute or two because there's storms in her area in New Jersey. So we're fortunate to get her back. And actually, Mr. Miller's not far from there either. So what we're going to do is we're going to get Miss Parker in here first. Okay, Miss Parker, we're going to get you to answer that question first, and we turn it over to you.
Wow, what a great question. Persistence and patience. It's when you have big goals, patience is so important. It's something that's almost, you cannot take on a journey of those big goals that we have without patience. And yeah, of course, on the way, you might have those frustrations and you might have those pockets of moments where you want to sit down and rethink and re-strategize. But at the end of the day, is just really staying focused on the end result, staying focused on what happens on the journey. When we're helping people become financially independent, and when we're showing and mentoring and coaching people, I think what keeps us going as leaders, as mentors, as coaches, is to see the small wins on the team, seeing people having successes and seeing people changing their lives, and, helping someone that's just gotten into the business, that came in driving a hoopty, now they're able to buy, their dream car. That is what keeps us inspired, and it keeps us persistent and consistent to continue on the path, to never really slow down. I don't think that we ever arrive because there's just so much to do. And if you don't have the patience to see it through, to really following through with the goal, then it's going to be short-lived. It's going to be very short-lived. So it's definitely a prerequisite to be patient and be focused and persistent on the way.
Okay, we got some background noise. One of our speakers has got some, like a mic or something going on. Appreciate that, Miss Parker. Appreciate that, and we're gonna hold on to you as long as we got you. Hopefully, the storms won't impact you anymore.
Yeah,
okay?
the electricity went off for a minute, so that's why I reset my whole system. So sorry about that.
No need to be sorry. As long as we got you, and great words about persistence and patience. Okay, Mr. Miller, talk to me. That's the question. Okay, talk about how you've navigated the fine line in your career between being persistent and balancing patience.
Henry David Thoreau's got one of the most powerful quotes I've ever heard. He said, if a man advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life that he's imagined, he would meet with success unexpectedly in common hours. Why is it so powerful, you might ask? Well, it's powerful because if you have a dream and you advance confidently in the direction, that means you have to have something that's worthwhile going after, right? That's number one. Number two, you will meet with success unexpected in common hours. that means we don't know exactly when whatever it is that we're going after in our life is going to appear, but we are advancing confidently in the direction as though it's already there, right? And life has this intriguing situation. It's like I've already been seeing, believing, feeling, and acting. So it's like I merge right into that life. I have no idea. And every year at the top of the year, people have these goals, they have these resolutions, they have these concepts, they have these ideas about all the things they're going to accomplish in 2023. And when they realize that it's such a long journey to get to those goals, they start off very high, they fall flat by February. So to piggyback off of what the gentleman, Mr. Positive 247 said, how being persistent and balancing patience. Well, I don't know when the dream is going to happen, but I'm motivated every single day to keep striving toward the greatness. You see, a goal causes you to become a different type of person in order for you to achieve it. What that basically means is I have to rise high to become a magnet to the thing. The thing doesn't become a magnet to me. So when we talk about being persistent, hey, I got to continue working on myself, working on my craft, working on my dream, working on my goal. And I don't know when it's going to happen, but I know it's going to happen. And that's the belief I walk in every single day.
Awesome answer. Another awesome answer. It's funny that we got this question, and I know y'all don't really need to hear from me. We got great guest speakers, but I have to share this. I was talking to a very old friend of mine, and I don't mean old in terms of age. I mean, we've known each other over 35 years from when I was a military professional. We were stationed up in Alaska together, and we were talking about the show and some other things. We were just talking about life. And something he said is spot on with what we're talking about now. He told me a quote by Dr. Harry Edwards that said, "It's the lion who gives the antelope speed. It's the lion who gives the antelope speed." Now, most people say antelope just runs. No, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Yes. So it's it's that lion, okay, that objective, that thing that actually decides how far you and how fast you run. So what Mr. Miller, okay, and Ms. Parker and Mr. King are doing today is they're the lions giving you what you need, okay, to determine how fast you run. And that's all about patience and persistence. It really is. Let's keep going. I don't want to talk too much. Let's keep going because I want to say something else, but I don't want to get too deep. I want to hear from our guests. Steve Cunningham, this is the gentleman who I shared this with. Steve Cunningham says, "Yes, Mr. Miller." Rashia Barbie says, "Resounding message, seed time and harvest." Wow. Rashia Barbie again, yes. Ms. Cunningham, powerful. Mona Grady, Faith. Hamani just gave us fire. Let's go, Vincent King. We got the goat. Got two goats. This is good stuff. Mr. Cunningham says, "What inspires Mr. Miller?" Let's bring you in, Mr. Miller, in a solo. What inspires Mr. Miller? Let me see. What inspires Mr. Miller as a public speaker, and what, in his opinion, is a motivational speaker? Great question.
That is a great question. I got a great answer. Most of the time we look at circumstances in life and we say, why me? Why do I have to go through those things? The reality is the things we go through in life is never about us. So we should never take it personal. But it is about the people's lives will change because we overcame it. You see, earlier in the studio session, I talked about the power in people's story. Yes, we all got these stories, but people really don't want to hear about that. They want to hear how you triumphed over the things that life threw at you, those setbacks, those obstacles, those challenges. George Bernard Shaw once said, people are always blaming the circumstances for what they are. He said, I don't believe in circumstances. The people that get on in this world are the people who get up, look for the circumstances they want, And if they can't find them, they make them. And that's what I've been doing. I've been making the circumstances that I want. I got tired of making the circumstances that I didn't want. So in my opinion, what a motivational speaker is, I think we need to take that word out and we should start using the word transformational speaker, because that's what we are. We transferred from where we were to where we wanted to be. And because of that, we were able to impact the lives of others in the process.
Down here at the studio, sharing the stuff, dropping the knowledge. I love this. I love this. Okay. Miss Mona Grady, love it. Miss Alicia Merrill, she's showing heart. Okay, one of y'all has your speaker on. Is that me? Could be me. Okay. Miss Alicia Merrill has some hearts. Patricia Leak has some hearts. A lot of love being shared tonight. Mona Grady, again, thanks for sharing transparency. Hermione, Howard Smith, Fire, Hermione the GOAT. Okay. James says, thanks, James Haith the Third. I hope you're saying your name right, James. Apologize if I'm not. I'm going to do the best I can. Thanks for the transparency. Sometimes I feel people have this is a good comment. It's a great comment. Sometimes I feel people have a skewed view of what it's really like as you're growing and working on yourself. Great insight, Mr. King. And I agree. So, Mr. King, anything you want to add? Again, this is not a question, but it's a statement of merit and value. Sometimes people have a skewed view of what it's really like as you're growing and working on yourself. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I try to teach, those to really take this kind of like we do with, for those people who went to college, they understand the concept of college, and not to start comparing yourself to someone too quickly, because comparing yourself to someone too quickly because you're not doing what they're doing will actually run you out faster than you can get started. And so I try to get everybody to understand that when you're getting started in anything, especially business, it's very similar to you being walking in as a freshman on college. You're just getting used to being away from home by yourself. You're getting used to independency. You're used to a newfound freedom. You don't have anybody telling you to get up and what time to get up and to eat breakfast. You have to do all those things on your own. You have to figure out, how you're going to, get food and how to get to the caf, how to get around campus. And the only thing you really do have to rely on at that time is your fellow cohorts who came in at the same time you did. But as you grow, you realize that basically that the same people who was in your freshman orientation, some of them don't even make it back from the Christmas break. And so as you become a sophomore, you realize that crowd got smaller. But what you realize as a sophomore is that now you have a little bit of experience. It's still not easy. You may not even really know what you really want to do with this education yet. But you're starting to see some of the benefits as far as getting a little bit more comfortable, getting a little bit more adjusted. And so you play that role, and now you're blending in with the other sophomores. But you can't expect as a freshman or sophomore to do take the classes or do the things that a junior or senior is doing. So as you progress and you become a junior, then your focus gets a little bit more intense, and you start kind of narrowing down what you really want to do in your major and how you want to go about it. And so you get a little bit more serious because you said, hey, I got something invested in this now. The proof of concept is working, that I know I can stick through it. But now you're not comparing yourself to the freshman anymore or the sophomore. You're comparing yourself to being on your way to becoming a senior. And so when you get to that senior year, then it's like, okay, I'm here now. Am I going to make a decision to quit now, or am I going to make a decision to go ahead and finish? And so now the most important thing is to finish, because now you become the example of what sticking to it is really about. And so I think if everybody really kind of took them to their life on a course that's similar, that understand, don't compare yourself as a freshman to a senior too soon, because you don't have the experience to be able to compete with what they've already experienced as they're going through their career. I think the adjustments can be made and people can last and do very well in whatever business they're doing.
Excellent feedback. I knew you would have a little bit more. That's why I had to, before we go to the next question or statement, I had to come back to you. Great feedback. Great way to build on the statement. Ms. Parker, she just clapping. Miss Barbie says, absolutely. Mr. Cunningham, I'm going to get somebody else real quick because I answered one of your questions and we're coming back. So I'm going to go to Miss Parker. Kara Jacques asked this question. She says, How do you manage distractions? Oh, this is right up your alley, ma'am. How do you manage distractions like family and friends telling you to slow down? And how do you conquer doubt and negative thought? So we're going to turn this over to Ms. Parker. Ms. Parker, I turn it over to you.
All right. Yes. Managing distractions is something that, I think is a challenge for anyone that's in business for themselves, because family and friends just sometimes don't respect the fact that you are working. You are working probably more than they are. And, really creating those boundaries and having family and friends understand that you are in business for yourself and that you have work hours that need to be respected. That could be a challenge, but I think it's just having a conversation and sitting folks down and letting them know that you can't drop and stop to, run somebody to the market or a doctor's appointment or something like that just because you're working for yourself. So that is one thing. Managing distractions. I try to kind of identify what kind of distractions they are. Is it an emergency? Is somebody, dying? Do you need to drop and stop and run to the hospital or something? Or is it a distraction that's really out of your control? Is it something that you need to give attention to? And if not, then it can wait. So it's more so compartmentalizing those types of distractions and seeing what you can handle now, what you can come back to later, and dealing with those things as they're supposed to be dealt with, and not letting that interrupt your flow. And then it says here too, how to conquer doubt and negative thoughts. I mean, we all have doubts, we all have negative thoughts, but understanding that that's going to happen, you can counteract it, right? You can really start working on yourself in a sense where your personal development starts really coming in. If I know that I default to the negative, then I have to work on my self-talk. I may have to do more affirmations every day. So if I know, oh, I'm going to the negative, I need to start changing my physiology. I got to start clapping. I got to start jumping up and down and saying my affirmations so I can get into a better state of mind. That helps.
Good stuff.
I know it helps because I do it. We all have those thoughts that creep in, and they create doubt in your mind. But then you focus on your goal and you shift yourself back, or you reach out to a mentor. Having accountability partners is so important when you're in business for yourself. Having your coach and your mentor available, they take your call, you text them, you call them, hey, I'm struggling right now. I'm doubting myself. I'm having all these negative thoughts. Yeah, and they help you to snap out of it. That's really what that's all about. So I love the question, and there's definitely ways to get around all that.
So what you're really saying is you've dealt with some of this, correct?
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
Okay, so and this is so important because this question, Ms. Parker, comes up almost every single night with Giants. Okay, so just real quick about the slow down and conquer the doubt and negative thoughts. We talk about that. I want to talk about that slow down real quick, and I don't want to put you on the spot because it's not your question, but it's your incredible answer. So when we talk about slow down, can you talk about what not to slow down as you overcome the? Yeah, that's important.
Well, yeah, you don't want to slow down your activity. Actually, it's the opposite, right? So when you're getting faced with these challenges and you get, to that point where like, oh my goodness, I'm finding myself stuck. Well, as they say, when it gets hard, go harder. You find your breakthrough really in creating more activity for yourself, because once we get out there and we go about our business in general, right? Whether it's, we're us selling insurance, or you're just selling any product, or you're providing any service, right? You're dealing with customers. Like, you have to continue pushing through, because once you have that win, you forget about all of the no's, you forget about all of, the negative, and then you're back in celebratory state. But you can never get too high. You can never get too low. You kind of got to stay in the middle and stay focused on your end goal.
Excellent. And I just wanted to make sure we covered that because it comes up a lot, and sometimes a speaker will share the slowdown part and not really specifically talk about, hey, don't slow everything down. just slow the things down that take you from where you are with this issue, which is exactly what Ms. Park is talking about, so you can continue on your success path. Great feedback, ma'am. Let's keep moving. Incredible comments tonight. Continue working. I love it. That's Rashia Barbie, Jamal Brown. Great info and insight. Mr. Cunningham, Steve Cunningham said just one word, yes. James Haith says awesome panel. I agree. Miss Leek says powerful fire. We already did the managed distractions. Outstanding. I like that. Miss Merrill. Okay, Miss Lowry, what are practical steps for each, excuse me, what are practical steps you each provide for prospects? Great question again. In your industries, looking to leave a W-2 position and step into your lines of entrepreneurship. We're gonna start with Mr. King, and we'll work around from there, okay? Mr. King, there's the question looking at you. It's a deep question. Turn it over to you.
Right. It's a great question because we do know the reality of it is that everybody just can't transition cold turkey. But I thank God that we are in an industry that it doesn't take long for the transition to happen and become a reality. And so I think for the most part, whenever somebody's looking to transition, that you have to realize at this point that whatever you are currently doing on your job to transition, your life just multiplied times 10. You got a 10 exit, meaning that you got to have those conversations like Ms. Park was talking about earlier, where you got to sit down with everybody that's involved in this process that's going to be a part of approving this transition, because you're going to need support, because you're going to have people that's going to keep you on the fence because you have been sold on the dream, but has your partner been sold on the dream, right? And so that's going to always keep people on the line. First of all, so what I do is I start with making sure that that this person's support system understands what's getting ready to happen. That it's not just them making a move, but it's the kids, it's the husband, it's the wife, it's whoever they consider to be their support system. They're all making the transition. And what's really involved in that, because we got to let them know that we got to set the right expectations that, hey, there may be some lean times. There may be some times where it just seems like it's not working. It may seem like that you should have made a decision to stay and go back. But what I tell people is that you got to understand that this is a 2 to 3 year process that you're going to be working in survival mode. Now, what I say about survival mode is a lot of people think that's a bad thing. They think that when you're in survival mode, that you're not actually making any income in survival mode, but that's the opposite. You're making income in survival mode, but you're basically learning everything that comes with making the income in survival mode, and you're really testing yourself to see if you're made of this, what you're made of. And so I just think that if you're making the transition, getting the family support, going above and beyond, your time management is going to be crucial, and just getting active quickly is going to be very essential to you making that transition.
Great feedback. Mr. Miller, you want to add anything here?
Yes, I think that's a great question. It's a question that a lot of people they get stuck with. I actually was speaking with a client the other day regarding that. She talked so highly of this part-time business that she started, that she loves so much, and talked so unhighly of the job she checked in every day at. And I asked her, well, why exactly won't you leave and do your business full time? She said, well, Jermaine, I got all these bills. I got a mortgage. I got responsibility. My kids are in school. So I need the money in order to do that. Here's what I said to her. I said, what you need to do from this point is you have to start working on your business part-time until your part-time becomes full-time profits. If you're serious about walking away from your career, don't walk away from your career cold turkey. Wait until your part-time profits become your full-time income, and then make the transition. You see, I started, for the people who weren't here, I started in the real estate industry about 20 something years ago. A lot of real estate professionals, what they would do is get their license. They would say in school, you have to have 6 months reserve saved. Most of these people never saved a dime, and they just felt like once they sold a house or once they rented an apartment, that money was going to keep them for a long time. You saw a lot of broke, hungry people frustrated. And let me tell you something about having no money and working in a business. People can smell that. My recommendation is you transition when your business profits equal what you make full time from your job. And that's the best way I can summarize that question.
Awesome feedback again. Ms. Parker, take us on.
Yes, I can so relate to what Jermaine was just saying. I left the job too early at one point in my past that put me in a horrible financial situation. And so from my personal experience, I will always say, don't leave your employment too early. And, when it actually worked for me, I had to strategize and plan ahead. It wasn't just, let me just quit my job because I found this great opportunity. I had to actually have confidence in myself to know when it was the right time to leave.
Right.
And it was more so, planning out my bills, looking months ahead and saying, okay, well, how can I really transition out of my 9-to-5 job? I'm making X amount of dollars every 2 weeks. That's not enough money. Well, how can I match that income on my spare time, weekends, after hours, before work, lunch breaks? I'm not going to sit on my lunch break anymore having, conversations with coworkers. I'm using that time to get in front of a client or on the phone or I'm on the computer. I'm looking for all pockets of hours throughout my day around my work schedule where I can create cash flow so I can pay my bills ahead of time. So once I build confidence in myself to go all in, I have that that I know that I'm not going to fall on my behind and be out of house at home again. So I've gone through that process. Actually ended up selling insurance in the mornings and the afternoons on the weekends. And literally within 3 days, I would match what I would earn working 80 hours, 2 weeks. And I took a leave of absence. So if you can take a leave of absence from your job, right? And you can then take a week or two and see what happens when you give your business a full-time effort, then, you gradually can say, all right, now it's the right time. But never just quit when you're not ready. It's the worst, because you're just putting yourself back, and then you're falling into that hole of saying, you know what, I can't be an entrepreneur. It's not going to work for me, So you have to go about it the right way.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Excellent feedback from all of our incredible leaders. We have a little less than 15 minutes left, and we'll be wrapping up. I just want to say one thing quickly. Sometimes, and I think it was Mr. Miller that talked about a young lady that says, I can't leave because she talked about what she couldn't do. Well, sometimes the reasons you give that you can't do something are really the reasons you should do something. If you can't afford to not leave this job, that should be your motivator to leave the job. That shouldn't be the reason you say, well, I shouldn't do it. That should be the motivator to say, you know what, I can't afford to leave this job, so I got to figure out a way to get out of this job, because the job isn't giving you the freedom. A lot of people hear me talk about the industry of networking is the industry of time and income freedom. It is. But the industries that our guests are in are time and income freedom industries too. So if you don't have time and income freedom on your side, then what you need to do is find that motivator that gets it done for you. And sometimes that's the reason you say you shouldn't do it. So great feedback. Let's keep going. Everybody's loving this. Great question. Miss Grady, Miss Cherry, I'm invested. I feel you. Miss Graves, awesome. Amazing insight, Mr. King. Bravo, excellent answer. That's not Miss Graves. I hope it's not. Okay. Let me. I don't know what's going on. That never happened before, but hopefully I just muted my other mic if it's on. Okay. Miss Grady, 100%. She's in. Mr. Haith, fire. Miss McLean. Yeah, I feel you. She got the muscle and the Jessica sign. Okay. Miss Cherry, fire, power visualization. Mr. Positive, I feel you. Always plug into your mentors and coaches. Miss Barbie, Shango Wilson, let's go. Great advice, Jessica. Okay, that's from Mona Grady. Mona Grady says everything's good. Mr. Al Mujahid. You guys are giants indeed, very inspiring. Great comment. I'm glad to see you on this platform. Thank you, Mr. Towns, $1 Million Education. Hey, listen, it's free tonight, but the investment is the effort. Again, remember what my good friend Steve Cunningham shared with me. It's the lion. We got lions on. I could have invited lambs, but I invited lions and lionesses to lead tonight. It's the lion who gives the antelope its speed. So the lions are giving you the stuff, and you just determine how fast you're going to run to keep up and continue getting the stuff you need. Okay? You guys are giants. I agree, Mr. Al Mujahid. Ms. Walker, she says, yes, support is a must. I agree too. Okay? And we got some new comments. Good Lord. We got a lot of people on tonight. And by the way, if you got somebody who keeps texting you, I got like, I don't know how many texts I got. Can't get in. It says it's full. I can't get in. I got in and dropped me. The lines are full. They just are. So just remember, next month in February, we have Night with Giants. If you're back with us to listen to those leaders, get in early because this show sells out. Okay, let's keep going. Mr. Graves says, what is the most defining thing that you can attribute your current belief to? I think that's an incredibly good question. Okay. We're going to combine two questions because we got like 12 and a half minutes left. Along with Ms. Jocks, she says, what books are each of you currently reading? And what are some must-read books you would recommend an entrepreneur? Why don't we hold the book question till we share our stuff? Okay, let's hold the book part. Ms. Jocks, we're coming back to you. Mr. Graves, we're all three of the guests are going to answer. We're going to start with Mr. Miller. Guess if we can keep it to like 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, because we are moving into that zone. Okay, so Mr. Miller, I'll turn it over to you. The most defining thing is question that you're going to contribute your current belief to. Turn it over to you, sir.
The most defining thing that I can attribute my current belief is that thoughts produce things. Truly, they are. My world, your world, everybody's world is a mirror reflection of what's going on inside of them. There's an African proverb that says, if there's no enemy within, the enemy without can't do you no harm. What that basically means is that self-talk, that negative dialect that the young lady asked earlier, is if there's no negative chatter going on inside of you, then you won't see that in your world. So what is the most defining thing that I can contribute my belief to is knowing that I can change my world literally by changing the idea. The idea is just a concept. When I change the concept about my world, everything for me changes.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Let's keep it rolling. Ms. Parker, it's on you. We can't hear you, Ms. Parker.
Here we go.
Okay.
Yeah, so my first thought reading this question was that, wow, I stole belief from others for a long time when I didn't believe in myself. And also where others believed in me and I didn't see it for myself, right? So what was the defining thing that attributed to my current belief is that I survived the hardships of entrepreneurship. So I know now because you push yourself through those challenges, you steal from other people's beliefs, you're looking at the success stories around you, it's working because it's working for other people, so it will have to eventually work for me. And when it then starts slowly happening, your belief goes up, right? And then when you start inspiring and helping other people, and since we are quoting tonight, right? The saying that goes that the more people, if you help enough people get what they want, eventually you get what you want. It is very true. The more of service I am to others, the more things start happening in your own life and in your business. So therefore your belief becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. Right. So it's really all about kind of, a constant it's a constant process of working on yourself and really believing. You have to believe. You have to. There's no way around it.
I thought it was a very strong, very subtle thing you said about buying into somebody else's belief in you before you actually bought into your belief in you.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't understand the power in that. Sometimes we got to ride on somebody else's coattails until we go get a coat. So I love it. Great feedback, both of you. Bring us home, Mr. King. Come on.
All right, awesome. Man, my co-partners have some incredible insight on that question. And the only thing I can really add is to that is the fact that I think what I can attribute most to my current belief is that I was bold enough to bet on myself enough and long enough for the belief system to actually catch up. Um, Even when it didn't look good, and then even whenever it wasn't always financially beneficial, it was the other things that I needed before the money, right? It was other things I needed for the money. It's almost like saying that most people who hit the lottery, they end up broke within 3 to 5 years because they didn't get the things necessary before the money. And
Mhm.
so what I understand now is that there are some things that come before the success. There's some things that come before the money, because really, you first have to prove to yourself that you can bet on yourself. Because if you don't believe in you, you can't expect anybody else to follow you to believe in you. And then on top of that is that I had a lot of people, examples ahead of me, where I realized that they put their pants on the same way that I did. They had some of the same similar stories that I did. They come from
Right.
some similar backgrounds that I did. And
Right.
so I just had to ask myself, what's so much different about them than me, other than the fact that they decided to bet on themselves too? So I
Mm.
think that the fact of the matter that if I go to Vegas and somebody asks me to place a bet, I don't bet. But if I was to go to Vegas and bet on myself, before I bet on anybody else, I'm gonna put money on me first.
I love it. I love it. And you said something again. Leaders leave clues. Success leaves clues. Mr. King said in his short, powerful feedback about belief comes before the paycheck. You you got to buy in. You got to believe unconditionally in the power of you before you get the 6 and 7 figure paycheck. And if you got the 6 figure paycheck and you're trying to go to 7 figures, you got to believe that that's for you, because there's a mountain to climb to get it done. These leaders know that. They've all done all of that. Okay, so I think we're done with questions, but we got some powerful statements, and we're wrapping, and we have an announcement. So Miss Lowry says she's tried to help others transition, or I have others who want to transition. And since I haven't done the full transition myself, it's difficult for me. She's talking about to the full time, going from, the W-2. That was back to that question. Difficult for her to explain to them how to make it happen. Thank you all. Good stuff. Miss Lowry, appreciate you. Miss Jocks, truth always sounds the same. Exclamation, exclamation. The panel is phenomenal. Mr. Brown. I mean, it's just compliments after compliments. You guys are just incredible. Just incredible mentors. I'm with Miss Johnson. Miss Jacqueline Johnson says phenomenally great mentors and leaders on tonight. And I happen to fully agree with you. Not because I invited them on, because they only make my lid go up. They only make me better. So we have an announcement to make. Since we're making each other better, I think we should maybe defer to Mr. Miller, who is someone who's touching our lives right now, about a project that I'm very fortunate to be working with all three of the leaders tonight. So, Mr. Miller, you can go ahead and announce to the world what we're working on, and we'll go from there.
Wow. I mean, that's a phenomenal pill to swallow. I've been blessed, as we talked about from the earlier part of this segment, to help capture people's message and put them in books, not just for the stories, but we've also have shown authors how to transition their entrepreneurship craft in a message and create 6 figure incomes. Why is that powerful? It's powerful because a few weeks ago, I got a phone call by the great KC Towns himself. And he said, listen, we worked together on my first book. Ready Set Network. It was an extreme success. And I have something that I know only you can do. And I said, well, what is that? He said, I have two other phenomenal individuals who I want to bring together and I want to form Voltron. What does that basically mean? And why am I saying this? Well, Casey, Jessica, and Vincent, three powerful, powerful, life-changing individuals. I got the last month or so to spend some time with them, and I can attest to that. These guys are putting together a manuscript. What is a manuscript? It's a book. So I want you guys to stay connected to Casey, stay connected to Jessica, stay connected to Vincent, so that you will be up to date with their process and their launch date of their new book. We haven't gotten the title yet. We're still in the beginning phases. But if you want to gather all of their experiences, their life-changing principles and tools that has helped them become the phenomenal people they are, and all those questions that you guys have that you still haven't gotten answered, trust me when I tell you, it will be in this life-changing guide. I can't wait to share it with the world, but most importantly, I know they can't wait either. I'm looking forward to it, and I know you are now too.
You know, I don't know how my other co-authors feel about this project. Mr. Miller was, I mean, he and his editing staff were incredibly instrumental in my book being launched. And I say that because my book was like War and Peace. It went on and on and on without direction, and they helped me get it together. I am so excited to be connected with these other two leaders because what we're going to bring to the table is just a book about taking your business to the next level. That's all I'm going to say. Taking your business to the next level, which both of them have a PhD in it. So, and then Mr. Miller, he can crack that whip. I think y'all would attest to that. Would you attest to that, Ms. Parker and Mr. King?
Yes.
Absolutely. Oh, he's definitely the truth, man. You know.
Yeah.
No chaser.
He's something else. He cracks the whip, but he does it in a way it's structured to get you where you need to be. So,
Mr. Towns, I will say this: it's a word that most people are afraid of. It's called accountability, and that's what he does. He holds us accountable to what we're saying that we're ready to do. So we appreciate him for that.
And we're excited about it. We really are. We're very excited to be working together, and we're excited to be working with him. So I am getting ready to move us to a close tonight, but I want to do this correctly. As we get ready to wrap the show, there's a lot of things. I'm looking at some notes I had on the side, and I just want to take a moment. I've never done this in the show before, but I want to pause right here and take a moment and share with all of you why I have so much respect for the leaders who are my guests tonight. They came on the show and gave it themselves and shared and poured their hearts out so others can win. Today, I go into the mental lab before every show, and I had a couple of minutes today, like about a half hour to 45 minutes, to just rest and reflect, which I don't do very often. I'm not a rest and reflect dude. I just don't. And anyone who knows me knows that. Anyone that's been in my trainings over the last year knows the respect I have for Denzel Washington and his speech about hardship and ease. And I often quote it in my trainings, and I share it often. So today, I had a chance to watch the Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman, and his speech at the AFI Awards, recognizing Denzel Washington. And in that speech, Chadwick Boseman talked about those who water others should be watered. And you could see Denzel looking at him and knowing he was dying. This happened in 2019. And I say that because I don't think he weighed 150 pounds. But what's my point tonight? My point is that sometimes I just don't get a chance to express my gratitude enough to those who come on this show and they water the seeds in your gardens. They really, I don't get a chance to just say thank you for that. So I wanted to start 2023 the right way. I wanted to say thank you to these three incredible leaders and awesome people for all that they do to water other people, water their gardens, and give back. This is my only way of giving water to them. is to publicly tell them I appreciate all three of you for all you shared tonight to help me launch this show. I can't do it without you. And to help this audience. And you see the overwhelming feedback you got. So a big heartfelt thank you. And I want to remind all of you that we're going to wrap. But before we do, I need you to give your information where people can reach out and stay in touch with you. That's important. Okay. Where they can connect and follow you. Now, you can connect and follow me at kctowns.com. Or so many people on Facebook right now, you already know that I have a Facebook site, KC Towns or KC Towns Trainings. Okay. But I want our leaders, okay, to go ahead and share with all of you where you can get in touch with them. So again, a thank you to the trailblazers and leaders that are on, and let's get that contact information from our guests so they can inform you how to stay in touch as they continue to make impactful differences in the lives of so many other people. So let's start with Ms. Parker. Ms. Parker, let our listeners know how they can stay in touch, follow your career, and get continued career guidance from you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Casey Towns, for having us on tonight. It's definitely been a blessing. Thank you so much. So the way you can follow is on Instagram, Miss Parker _TPG. On Facebook, it's Jessica C. Parker. That's how you'll find me. There are a lot of Jessica Parkers, but Jessica C. Parker. You will also be able to visit our website at tparkergroup.com. And that is where you can apply to get more information on our agency. So tparkergroup.com. But yeah, social media, Instagram, Miss Parker _TPG, and Jessica C. Parker on Facebook.
Which one is the one you really want people to go to? Because I know some people, I just got a text, slow down. I didn't have my pen.
Yes.
So which one do you really want them to go to?
Yeah. So if you want more information on the business opportunity and how to get involved, if you're looking for a career in the insurance industry and you want to get into coaching with us and you want to get licensed, like any questions in regards to that side of the business, definitely hop on the website at tparkergroup.com. And then on social media, you can just follow along and see what the team is doing and, all the great stuff that we have going on. You'll find there.
Power and team. And that's what it's about. Appreciate you, ma'am. Mr. King, can you share your contact information with everyone tonight?
Absolutely. So probably the best way that I go to first is Facebook, and it's just under my name. It's Vincent A. King. Vincent A. King on Facebook. Vincent A. King on Facebook. And then on Instagram, it's Vincent _A_ King on Instagram. And like Ms. Parker, if you are interested as far as looking at some information as far as what we do, maybe we piqued your interest or your curiosity to see what our industry is about, then you can go to my I like to call it my peak interest page, which is UBIFE, so UBIFE careers.com, UBIFE careers.com, and there's a couple videos, testimonials in there, and also a link that you can put your information in for me to contact you.
Appreciate you, sir.
Thanks
for all that you gave tonight. To both of you, Mr. Miller, bring it up from the rear, sir, as you leave. Please let everybody know how they can follow and connect with you.
Yes, sir. Very easy to find. Jermaine Miller, JermainMiller on all social media platforms, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. My publishing company, JM Publishing LLC. You can find that on Instagram. You can also find that on Facebook. We are changing websites. I just did that so I can give you JMPublishingLLC.com. You'll see where you can just punch in your email information and everything will be available within the next couple of days for you to see. So Jermaine Miller everywhere. JM Publishing is the company, Facebook and Instagram. Thank you so much for your time.
And appreciate all three of you again. And to our audience, I look forward to hosting you all next month right here at the place where underdogs continue to win. That concludes tonight's show. It's been my pleasure to honor and my pleasure and my honor to host you all. And I look forward to doing it again next month. I hope we continue in the spirit of great leadership. And with that, everybody have a fantastic evening. All my best.